management experience through Toastmasters. Then he will interview our winners, speaker winner all the time, any case. And follow up, he will give an overview of our regular meeting schedule. And finally, he will introduce our today's special guest, Mike Parcel, to give a wonderful speech titled Leadership Public Speaking Skill for the Workplace. And we will start to have lunch around 12:40. And if you have any question, you can talk to our members and officers. Can you raise your hand if you are members? If you don't have the name tag, can you go to Clark for the name tag so people can identify you and ask you questions. First, I will introduce our president. Rajiv is the winners of evaluation contest and table topic contest this year and last year in club level, in area level, and in district levels. So he beat other companies in the area like Cisco, Yahoo, IBM, eBay, etc. So he is a very enthusiastic young man, very dynamic speakers to bring our club level from good to better and to excellent levels. Let's welcome Rajiv.
Sorry for the delay, everyone. So, good afternoon. It is great to see everyone here. Whenever people ask me about Toastmasters, they always assume that it's all about public speaking. And you know what? They're half right. Public speaking is a very big part of what we do here at Toastmasters. But if you were to ask me personally what I found most rewarding from my experience, I'd have to say it's the whole leadership side. Let me give you a little backstory about myself. I first joined Toastmasters back in college, quite a few years ago. And when I joined Toastmasters, my first year I gave a lot of speeches. That's pretty much what I did. At the end of my first year, we had elections. And for some reason, I was elected to be the vice president of the club. Now, this was the first time that I ever found myself in any leadership position of any sort at all. It was scary, it was challenging, at times it was overwhelming. But looking back, the next year of my life would be one of the most enriching experiences that I've ever had in my life. Now, what is leadership really all about? To me, it really comes down to three things: planning, executing, and taking responsibility for what happens. Now, these are all things that we practice every day in our personal lives. But when you're a leader, when you're doing this not just for yourself, but when you're doing this for a team, when everyone is watching you do this, it becomes a completely different experience. It becomes a completely different ballgame. The stakes are a lot higher, so you learn to really deliver on time, on schedule, with attention to detail. People are watching every single thing you do. So you learn to become a more confident person. You learn to be comfortable being in the spotlight. And everything you do is so much more complicated. There's so many moving parts everywhere. So you learn to really plan things out to the last detail. You never have all the information that you want to have. And so you become better at taking informed risks. You become better at acting instead of waiting indefinitely for the perfect time to act, which will really never happen. And most importantly, people are always looking at you to lead, to show them the way. So you learn to develop initiative. You learn to think not in terms of problems, but in terms of solutions. So, I served as vice president for 2 years. And then a few months ago, the previous president of the club, Omar, he came to me one day and he said, "Rajiv, I'm stepping down and I'm looking for someone to take over. I think you'd be a good candidate. What do you think? Are you up for the challenge?" And I remember thinking to myself, yeah, sure, why not? I mean, I have been vice president for 2 years. I know exactly what to do. How different can it really be? Well, over the last few months, I found out that being a leader and being a manager are two completely different things. When you're a leader, it's really all about coming up with a plan and then doing it. But when you're a manager, I find that you don't actually do all that much yourself. It's all about getting stuff done through other people. Not just because you're lazy, that's just how it works. So being a good manager is really all about knowing how to inspire and empower the team around you, because it ultimately doesn't come down to you. It's all about how good your team is. How exactly do you go about inspiring and empowering the people around you? How do you build a strong team? let me just share one important tip that I learned over the last few months. It's all about knowing how to delegate effectively. If you try to micromanage someone, if you try to tell them exactly what to do, exactly what not to do, in the absolute best case scenario, they will do exactly what you tell them to do and not one thing more. But on the other hand, if you let them know that they're in charge, if you tell them what you would like to see them do, but if you let them figure out how they want to do it themselves, they will come up with answers that will surprise you. They will come up with solutions that you haven't even thought of before. And most importantly, they will give 110%. No one is inspired by the idea of being someone else's workhorse. People are inspired by the idea of being in charge. They're inspired by the idea that they're valued, that they're making a difference. People aren't inspired when you expect less from them. They're inspired when you expect more. Now, we can sit here all day, you can listen to a million lectures about leadership, you can read a million books about management, but ultimately it all comes down to getting real life experience. And that's what I found most valuable about Toastmasters. If you're willing to invest your time and energy into it, Toastmasters gives you a great avenue to get hands-on skills in developing these skills, figuring out for yourself what your style is, what exactly works and what doesn't. So, that was just my little speech about leadership, but of course, public speaking is another big part of what we do here. And to talk more about public speaking, I want to invite up here on stage the best public speaker that we have in the club, Andy Keats. Let me give you a little background about Andy Keats. He is an energy storage specialist in PCCG, so he's one of the big guys here at Intel. But despite that, he still found the time to serve as an officer in Toastmasters over the last 2 years. He's also a really good public speaker. He won a number of contests, like Jennifer mentioned earlier. And the award that Clark is holding up, for example. Very shiny. Well done, Andy. For example, so this particular award, he won it last year by beating out over 100 other contestants from companies all over Silicon Valley. He emerged as a champion in the entire Silicon Valley area. Please welcome Andy Keats. I have a few questions for you, since you're such an awesome public speaker. What made you join and stick around in Toastmasters?
The truth is, I went to Cultural Diversity Day and I saw the Toastmasters stand. I was aware of the name and I thought, I'll go along and see what it's like. And I went as a guest 3 times before I joined, and what I saw on stage was some people that had stage presence. They had charisma, they were engaging, and I thought, you know, I can write a PowerPoint presentation, I can give a training, I'm fine with that. But I don't have that on-stage charisma, and they do. And I'm going to go along, and I'm going to get that. So that's how it started.
Well, we're glad you joined, and we're glad that you stick around.
Right.
So, you've been in Toastmasters for a while, for 2-3 years now?
Yeah, 2.5 years.
Okay. Do you want to share some of the things that you learned through your experiences?
You know, I have learned, somewhat like Rajiv, that you can take on a challenge. That trophy is actually for humorous speaking. So I'm now the champion from 28 clubs for humorous speaking. And the way it started was, we wanted a club competition. And not everybody wanted to take part. And I didn't think I was that funny, but there's a lot of camaraderie in the club. You have good evaluators that tell you how to improve. And I felt like I could stand up there, see how I do, and I'll get some feedback. And the club wanted to put it in the auditorium and have everyone at Intel come, and I said, no. If I'm going to die, let's do it in front of a friendly club. So I entered it just to see how it would go. I won the club competition, I won the next round, and I won the following round, and I got the trophy as the best of 28 clubs in the district, which was amazing to me. I didn't know I had it in me. I felt great about it, and you know, it's just a lot of fun.
Awesome. You mentioned that you took part in the contest, went a long way. Can you share with us, what has that experience been like, and what did you learn and enjoy the most about these contests?
You know, it's been good because as you go to the various levels, the people get better and better. So you can learn more and more. It's a very supportive environment. For every speech that you give inside the club, you have a good evaluator, such as Rajiv, our champion evaluator, who gives you great feedback. So you have this sort of warm thing of everybody's helping you out, and you can improve in a very friendly atmosphere. That's what I really enjoy about Toastmasters.
Oh, very glad to hear that. The last question that I had for you before I let you go. Have you ever used your Toastmaster skills outside of Intel?
You I have. I was at a conference last year. It was the 28th International Battery Seminar and Exhibit in Fort Lauderdale. And there were a lot of industry specialists giving very informative technical talks. And a colleague of mine said, Andy, they have great material, but they're lousy on stage. You have to do better. And I sat in the hotel room the previous night and I thought, what is my opening going to be? How am I going to engage the audience? Where do I put in the pauses? How can I use my tone of voice? I thought about all those Toastmasters skills. And I used them on stage. And I got an email back from a random attendee who said, Andy, I really enjoyed your presentation. I'm a software person. I generally don't pay any attention to hardware topics, but you kept my attention for a full half hour. Great job. And there I knew that my Toastmaster skills had really paid off. So it can help you inside the company and outside.
I'm glad to hear that you learned so much about Toastmasters and you got so much out of it.
Right.
Well, thank you for sharing your experiences with us, and I hope you'll have wonderful more years.
Before he lets me go, we have a little award that I gave to him because I'm the humorous guy, to demonstrate the fact that Rajiv is our champion evaluator, and this just to demonstrate the sort of camaraderie we have going on in the club. Good job, Rajiv.
Thank you. Thank you, Andy. Thank you for taking that off the screen, Jennifer. So before the meeting started, I promised some of you, the guys, that I would tell you more about what Toastmasters is all about and what we do in our meetings. And I'm not going to let you down. In every meeting, we basically have 3 sections. The first is the prepared speech section, where someone like myself will come up here, give a prepared speech for about 5 to 7 minutes. And then we have the evaluation section, like what Andy mentioned earlier, where someone else watches your speech, and they write down detailed comments on what you did well, and also what you can do better on. And then present the evaluation so both you and everyone else in the club can see exactly how to be a better speaker. Now, the most exciting part of every meeting is what I call table topics. This is my favorite also. This is where anyone in the audience can get called upon. And I will give you a random question, and your job is to come up with an answer and give a speech about it for 1 to 2 minutes on the spot. And since it's so fun, since it's so exciting, I decided we're going to do that right now. And I'm going to call upon some of you guys to give completely impromptu speeches. Let's start off with one of the officers in our club, Doug Miyake. Come up on stage.
I don't stand on the table.
If you want to.
It's table topics.
Alright. Tell us about a time when you had to give an important speech or presentation at work. And how did it go?
Important?
Important.
Okay. I was a speaker at IDF in 2009. I guess that wasn't at work, but it was for work. IDF is fairly important. It's our public conference where we show some of our latest technologies and products. It was a great experience. I felt really confident going in because of my background in the club and the years that I've been in the club. So as far as being on stage at IDF in front of PhDs and people very much smarter than me, I felt I did pretty good, and fielding all their questions and was relaxed and could keep a smile. So that part of being at the club at a weekly level, being on stage, being at other events like outside the club, area events where it's 5 clubs, division events where there's 25 clubs. I've been going through that cycle for 5 years. So pretty confident just standing up in front of anybody, Paul at Bums or anything. I've asked him questions. So, it's really helped me gain confidence to be able to deliver something. And as far as the session at IDF, we get good scores. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you, Doug, for showing us how it's done. And now I want to open it up to the audience. Who wants to give this a try? Yeah, would you like to come up here and introduce yourself?
Sure. All right. My name is Tarun Agarwal. I'm fairly new to Intel. Moved here from Midwest, Chicago area, roughly 3 months ago. And I've heard about Toastmasters from my friends and colleagues in previous work area. And I've heard nothing but the good things. So I was here to actually try it myself, how true that is. So I'm here actually to learn about that, and I think personally I'm at a stage in my career where I think to take the next few steps and take on more responsibility, communication skills and leadership skills are absolutely necessary, right? And like, I tell my 6-year-old when he gets frustrated with his violin, right? It's all about practice. So I think that's what I'm looking for. And I'm looking for a stage where the people are friendly and I can be more comfortable, I can practice, and that's how you get perfect, I guess. So we'll find out on that one.
Thank you. Great introduction, but now I get to ask you a question. Tell us about the best manager that you ever had, and what made him or her such a great manager?
Love that question. Fantastic question. I think all of you would feel the same question if you were asked that question. We have all had really good managers, and if you're lucky, and some bad ones. But in my case, the person who actually hired me in my previous job, I worked directly for him and close to him for almost 11 years. And what a great person. The one single attribute of that person that made me respect the person so much is his basically approach of delegation, as you were mentioning earlier. That person would basically give you the big picture and set the goal and give you freedom to go chase that on your own. Zero micromanagement. Micromanagement absolutely doesn't work, right? You have to give people freedom, and that's how they get the phenomenal results, which you cannot guess, right, by yourself. So giving freedom to work, and obviously showing by doing, right? I mean, the person was immensely talented, so every single day I would come and I'm like, if I can be 10% like him, I'll feel myself, I'm successful. So being talented, of course, and giving people freedom to accomplish what they want.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
And you can remind us of your name again?
Tarun Agarwal.
Tarun, thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you, Tarun, for very brave. He's a guest for all of you who don't know him, but he's very bravely come up here to give this a try. Is there anyone else who would like to volunteer next? Yeah. Would you like to come up here and give a brief introduction?
Sure. Hi everyone, my name is Samit Shah. I have actually recently moved here as well. I started in September. I'm a recent college graduate. I graduated from University of Texas at Austin. If there's any Longhorns here, book them. Anyways, I'm in the server CPU development group. I'm working on the DFX team over there, and that's just a little bit about me.
Okay, great. Tell us about your favorite speaker and some of his characteristics that you'd like to emulate.
Oh man. So, not a specific speaker stands out in mind to me, but there are certain qualities that I see in people when I see them speaking, and it's some of them that were mentioned earlier, that they're able to engage the audience and have that kind of presence that Andy was talking about. I think that's really important, and I see that as something that I would like to achieve in my own speeches whenever I give one. Because I feel like when I do give presentations, I'm not able to always capture the audience, but I'm able to, I just kind of throw words out there. And I think it's partially maybe lack of preparation, it might be nervousness. I'm shaking right now, by the way. But that's something that I would like to instill in myself. Another thing that I would like to do, I used to be very soft-spoken. I still am at sometimes, but I try to project my voice as much. It's not necessarily yelling, but try to speak up with intensity. Try to put the passion of what I'm talking about in what I am talking about. And it's partially comes from me understanding what I'm talking about myself. If I don't have a thorough understanding of what I'm doing or what I'm talking about, then I can't explain it to anybody else. And so that's another thing that I would like to try to instill in myself.
Thank you. Thank you, Samit. I know you're also a guest, so it's very brave of you. One last question that I had. Have you ever found, actually no, I should call it one of the volunteer first. Do we have any volunteers here? If not, oh, we do. Thank you. Would you like to also briefly introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Sheldon Bernard. I'm a recent hire. I've been here for 100 days. Graduated from University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. MBA program. Go Eels. That's about it.
All right, welcome. And what was your name again?
Sheldon.
Sheldon, great. Have you ever found yourself leading an important task? And if so, how was the experience?
Leading an important task. I remember in 2007, I was asked to take over a nonprofit that I was part of. And the task that we had, or that was outlined for me as the newly minted president with a board of 15, who had all been there for 20, 30 years, was restructure this nonprofit organization in such a way that our key customer would somehow see more benefit in us being there. Because at the time, what was happening is, if you looked at our membership over 2 or 3 years, it was atrophying, it was declining at a very increasing rate. So they thought, if we bring in somebody new, who doesn't have the history, perhaps this person can reinvigorate our goals, our objectives, and get us to the point where the business will be stronger. It was very difficult, because 1, you're the new guy, 2, I'm significantly younger than everybody on my board, and 3, I'm not an accountant, and I'm leading an accounting professional organization. So there was a lot of me pitching to the management and the membership to try to get them to think about what we did a little bit differently.
All right, thank you, Sheldon. Thank you to all our guests who took part. It was very brave of you. I personally would not have done it myself 2 years ago, so you guys are better than where I was. So, which brings me to the keynote, the highlighted part of today's meeting. Personally, Mike Parcel. He was the Toastmasters immediate past district governor, in charge of over 200 clubs all the way from San Francisco down to Monterey Bay, comprising of over 4,000 members. Outside of Toastmasters, he is also the co-founder of Speakers Consortium, and he's also a speech coach for business executives. Please join me in welcoming the Bay Area's public speaking guru, Mike Parcel.
All right, we're going to try how my voice works, and if we need a microphone, I do have it at ready, but I prefer to let my voice travel through the room. If you can't hear me, you raise your hand and let me know, all right, because I'm talking to you. All right, now here we go. Now, you know, I love these introductions because don't they just precede you into the room? When I hear these introductions, I think, I want to meet that person. And then they say my name, and I go, really? Really? You came here to see me? Well, all right. I want to tell you, about 2.5 years ago, I was a newly minted Lieutenant Governor of Education and Training for Toastmasters. And one of the division governors called me and said, would you give a keynote at my officer training? There'll be about 150 people there. And I said yes. Then I went to the dictionary to look up what keynote meant, because I didn't know what that was. And I read the definition, and I thought, well, I can do that, I think. So I prepared something, but I didn't know I was supposed to be serious. So I started talking about my nephew, Stephen. Now, my nephew, Stephen, we're so proud of him in our family. He's 32 years old. Now, some of you may relate to this story. He called me one day and he said, you know, Mike, I have a major realization. He works for an aeronautics company in Arizona. He said, do you know that there are people on the planet who are younger than I am? That my company is hiring them? That they have greater skills in some instances because they're just out of college? They can work harder and they'll work cheaper. And I said, whoa, radical. Holy cow. What are you going to do about that, Stephen? And he goes, I don't know. I'm going to think about it. You let me know. You let me know. Because these people will take over your job. So he called me back about 2 weeks later. He said, I have the solution. I'm joining Toastmasters. I realized I need to work on my speaking skills. And I said, great idea. Can't imagine where he got that idea from. So he joined Toastmasters and he took on that project. He took on that initial manual, 10 speeches. He knocked those out in about 8 months. And he told me that as a result of that, he was appointed by his company to represent his company in Berlin, South America, and Japan. Because now he can speak. He isn't just the guy in the back room doing the plans. He can present the passion and the vision and the dynamic future of their company to their customers. This is great. So from time to time, I always have to update you on Stephen. And Stephen has just been promoted. He's in charge of all global interactions for their company. And he credits Toastmasters, his communication skills. Now, not being one to let him off easy, I said, well, what do you do about your leadership skills? Because that's communication skills. What about leadership skills? Because you know, leadership, I tell you, the entire world is hungry for leadership. And I know that when you send your resume into an organization, the human resource directors, they are looking for one key word. I always ask them, I said, what are you looking for? Because I know my friends are the ones who have invented some of this software that are the screens, and they are looking for the word leadership. The world is hungry for leadership. And when we recently changed the brand on Toastmasters, we did research and we found that all great leaders in history choose the one. Martin Luther King, John F. Kennedy Jr., Mother Teresa, whoever it is for you and whatever area interests you, any great leader can speak. And if they can speak, they probably have an inside track at being a great leader. You see, the two go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. So I said, Stephen, what are you going to do about your leadership skills? What if you went to your boss and said, I need to work on my leadership skills, or worse? What if your boss said to you, you need to work on your leadership skills? What would you do? Would you become captain of your bowling team? That's not about leadership. Well, my team does about drinking. That's what that is. We don't do much bowling, we do a lot of drinking, and there's definitely no leadership going on. So where would you go? But Toastmasters has this incredible opportunity because there's a track called leadership where you become area governor, division governor, and all that kind of good stuff. So the whole extraordinary experience of combining communication and leadership skills is extraordinary. So I said to myself, well, how do I do that? Where am I going to go? I got to tell you something. About a year ago, friends of mine in my alma mater were endowing a chair in engineering. Now, not engineers like your engineers, not software. These were engineers like who build bridges, those kind of engineers. And they asked me to come with them to our alma mater so I could be part of the presentation. And I said, kiddingly, what could be more boring than engineers giving keynotes? Kidding, don't turn on me yet, don't turn on me yet. And they said, all right, so I didn't go, so I said no. Well, they called me after the event and they said, you won't believe this is amazing. They declared the end of the information age. Information age is over. Hasn't that been around for about 10, 15 years? Aren't we so over it? Because if you had the right equipment, you could stand in the middle of the jungle. And if your satellites were right and your computers were right, all the information of the world is accessible to you. Doesn't matter where you are, who you are, or what you're doing. So quite frankly, there's nothing new or interesting about the information age. They declared it over. In fact, we live in the age of imagination. Oh God, isn't that cool? We live in the world of imagination. So it's not about the information that you have, it's about what you can do with the information. So I'm sitting in my office, and my niece had given me a little gift at Christmas last year. And it's this little kind of artsy doodaddy thing, it has a little thing on it. And I'm sitting there looking at it one day, thinking about this whole idea of imagination, and I turn it to the back and it says, here's a quote from Einstein, "Imagination is more important than knowledge." Isn't that amazing? Imagination is more important than knowledge. So when I walked in your building today, there's a quote on the wall. What's the quote on the wall? Do you know the quote?
It's about innovation.
It's about innovation. Okay. What is innovation?
Imagine.
Unbelievable. Am I in the right place or what? You are a group of people who are busy imagining. Isn't that amazing? This is going to give you the lead. This is going to make the difference for you. This is going to make the distinction for you in your career and in your future. Because, see, here's the thing. In your life, you don't need more information. You need to know what to do with it. You need to know how to present it. I'm going to give you the best secret. And he just talked about being at the conference and giving the speech to leave the room. I think he fell through the door. But he's getting the pizza, actually. It is time for pizza. But here's the thing that's just so important. You see, you're not going to remember what I said today. You really won't. You won't remember the jacket. You won't remember this very expensive shirt. And you won't remember the color of my eyes. You really won't. but you will remember how I made you feel. Either you liked me, you didn't like me, you thought I was arrogant, you thought I was funny, you thought I was a waste of time, you thought whatever you thought, you will remember how I made you feel. So when you're giving a presentation, you want people to feel something. I would hope you want them to feel your passion, because there's nothing more addictive than passion. We're still human beings. We're not from the planet Vulcan yet, you know? We still are human beings, and nothing is more addictive than passion. So no matter what you're presenting, even if you think it's something boring, because actually technical stuff can sometimes be boring to people. Sometimes. I tell you. You know, here's the thing, okay, so Steve Jobs, don't we all love him? You know, okay. So when he would introduce something like the iPhone, he didn't say, we invented a new device that does this and this and this and this, because who really cared? What he did was he said to you, we reinvented the phone. And you stood in line all night around the Apple store to get one, because he made you feel. So the point is to make people feel. I hope I left you with a bit of information. We're going to have our pizza now, aren't we? Or we're going to do something, or Rajiv's going to be doing something. So I want you to take the idea of imagination. Tell me the quote again on the wall.
It's about innovation.
You've been to the lobby? Okay. All right. Innovation, imagination. I want you to go back to work today and just try it on. Like, you know, trying on a jacket, trying on a coat. Sit at your desk and say, I'm going to imagine. And see what that feels like, to be in a world of imagination. I can promise you, it is magical. Rajiv.
Thank you for taking the time and coming here and presenting to us. Okay. I got you a little present that I got for my last trip overseas. I hope you really enjoy it. Not the latest Intel chip, unfortunately.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Very special, someone who's instrumental in putting today together. Jennifer, I know you've been in the background all day, but she really made today happen. She is the person who made everything here possible. Jennifer, please come up here. Thank you for everything, we really appreciate it.
I enjoy it.
Lastly, in every meeting, we have the table topic section that I told you about. We vote on the best table topic speaker, and we give that person an award also. And secretly, we've been voting for you guys. So Clark, do we know who the best table topic speaker today was?
Yes, it's our first speaker.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Thank you so much.
Since you're so brave, we got you a gift card from Amazon.
All right, thank you so much, Rajiv.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it, actually. It was very informative, more than what I expected. Thank you, everybody.
Lastly, I want to thank all of you guys for coming here today and making today such a great success. We have food available, and our club also meets every Wednesday at noon. If you want more details of VP of membership, is right in the back.
Everybody
Clark.
wears the badge.
Look for anyone wearing a Toastmasters badge. We are all members. We can tell you more about the club. We can answer any questions you have. And feel free to stop by and tell us what you think. With that said,
If you haven't signed up for the mailing list,